Hey guys, in today's video, I will be reading part 9 of Charlie's Small Gorilla City. This is where we last left off, so let's begin part 9. Really bad news. I haven't been able to go back to the cliff after all, and I may never get the chance. Because something terrible has happened, and as king of the gorillas, I must lead my tribe into battle. This evening, as I was relaxing on my platform, Nanog, the old white gorilla, came and sat next to me. She seemed troubled. "What's the matter, Nanog?" I asked. "The mandrels are coming," she said. "Who on earth are the mandrels?" "They are a tribe of blue-faced baboons that live in a far part of the jungle," said Nanog, and a shudder ran down my spine. I knew straight away that these were the same vicious creatures that had attacked me before. "They are stupid, violent animals," continued the old gorilla. "They do not store food for the lean times, and if the jungle harvest is poor, they go hungry. First they turn on themselves, and then they attack us. When the mandrels come, they steal and eat our young. They are smaller than us, but they are fast and aggressive and have muzzles full of huge teeth. Now our spies tell us that the mandrels have developed a taste for small pink gorillas and they are preparing a raid." "How can that be?" "Small pink gorillas?" I gulped. "I did bump into some creatures with blue faces," I admitted, rubbing my bottom. "But that was ages ago." "The mandrels never forget, Charlie," said Nanog with a worried frown. "It seems that the one who bit you has told his clan how wonderful small pink gorillas taste. They are plotting to come and capture you. Many of our young. What are we to do?" "How was I supposed to know? I was just a small boy, alone in a jungle many miles from home." But then I remembered. I was also the gorilla king, and it was my job to know. Well, one thing was certain. I wasn't going to offer myself up as a starter at a mandrill feast. And there was no way those blue-faced monkeys were going to eat any of my friends. "We must stand up to them," I said. "We have to teach them a lesson they'll never forget." Nanog didn't look convinced. "How long have we got before they come?" I asked. "They've already been seen near our city," said Nanog as she stood up to leave. "We think they will attack within the week. You must think of a plan, Charlie." As I watched the old gorilla swing off through the trees, I began to realize what being a king was really about. The whole tribe was relying on me to keep them safe. But if the gorillas didn't know how to defeat their old enemies, how would I be able to save the day, prepare for attack? I sat alone through the night, staring at the stars scattered across the sky, trying to think of a way to save my friends and myself. By morning, I had a plan. I felt it was my fault that the mandrels were coming, and so I decided I should face them alone. After all, it was a pink gorilla they particularly wanted. I also thought that if one small hairless gorilla could stand up to them, the mandrels might think twice before ever attacking our city again. The gorillas weren't very happy with this idea. They said they wouldn't just stand by and watch such a deadly enemy attack me. But when I explained that I planned to lure the mandrels into a trap, they agreed to follow my lead. First, I instructed the gorillas to plait leaves and fronds and make a huge net. Then we bent hoops of bamboo into the ground beneath the city and laid the long net on top of them. I had learned that the mandrels are natural ground dwellers, and I knew they would try and force me down from the treetops to fight on their home turf, and I wanted to turn their schemes against them. We camouflaged the net with leaves and, using smaller and smaller hoops, created a long hidden tunnel that gradually got narrower and narrower until it ended in a small exit hole with a drawstring attached. This is what it looked like. I felt pretty confident that we could catch the mandrels on it, but I wasn't at all sure if I'd be fast enough to lead them into the trap before they could catch and eat me. Before I had a chance to practice swinging from the city down to the forest floor, a warning alarm sounded. The enemy had been spotted in the trees near the city. A rumble in the jungle. I just had time to climb to the ceremonial platform when the mandrels appeared, their red and blue faces materializing silently amongst the foliage. My tribe had hidden themselves below, some in lower branches, some down on the ground. So I faced the enemy alone and pounded my chest as hard as I could. "Here I am," I bellowed. "Come and get me." A large bull male reared up, baring his teeth, and with a scream the mandrels attacked. A swarm of them poured out of the trees, leaping for the platform and driving me down from the treetops. Blimey, were they fast? I dropped, crashing through the leaves, only grabbing a branch occasionally to check my fall. The mandrels followed, barking and snapping their jaws. As I hit the ground running, one beast was almost upon me. I could feel its hot breath on my back and hear its panting snarls. If it hadn't been for one of my gorillas reaching out a powerful arm from a hiding place to send the mandrel flying, it would have been all over for me. I heard a muffled cry as my pursuer sailed into the undergrowth, and I ran full pelt to the entrance of our trap. The other mandrels followed, fast as greyhounds, pouring into the camouflaged tunnel behind me. As it narrowed, I had to crouch, then run on all fours, with the mandrels snarling and snapping at my heels. When the last of them had entered the tunnel, the gorillas dashed from the undergrowth, growling and beating their chests, driving their enemies deeper into the trap. I reached the end of the tunnel just in time, squeezed through the tiny exit and pulled down the drawstring, closing and tying it behind me. The mandrels at the front of the pack couldn't turn round in the narrow tunnel, and the rest piled in behind, squashing the lot into a tightly packed mass of frantic, screaming animals. The gorilla quickly fastened the tunnel at the other end, and we had them. Every last one. We dragged the huge, wriggling net back along the jungle paths to the mandrels' distant village. The rest of their clan came out to watch as we dumped our catch in a heap. Our message was clear. We had trapped the mighty mandrel warriors as easily as we might collect a bag full of fruit. Then I climbed atop the net and, baring my teeth and thumping my chest, roared, "Nga Mowi mwa mwa. Wapop wam wadumwa niyo. You have been warned. Attack us again at your peril. The war is over. The mandrels squeaked in terrified agreement, and we knew that they'd never trouble Gorilla City again. Run away, run away. We're back from the mandrel village and a huge celebration is underway. Everyone is dancing and singing on the platforms below me, but I don't really feel like joining in. You see, the gorillas have insisted on rewarding me for leading them to victory, and I really don't want to accept their gift. At first, I thought they were going to give me some sort of medal. But then, Nanog introduced me to a huge gorilla wearing a garland of purple flowers on her head. To begin with, I didn't quite understand why the old gorilla wanted me to meet her. Then I realized she was presenting me to her daughter, the lovely, but also incredibly hairy Grunter. My reward was to be her hand in marriage. Yikes! What was I supposed to do? I knew that to refuse would be a terrible insult, but there was no way I was going to marry anyone. I'm much too young to get married, especially to someone with armpit hair as long as my leg. So I greeted her as politely as I could. Then, with a big yawn, I pretended to be exhausted from the fight with the mandrels and climbed up to my platform. Now, lying here on my banana leaf bed, I've decided I can't possibly stay another night. I've made some very good friends amongst the gorillas, and I feel really sad to be leaving Grip and Grapple. But enough is enough, and marrying one of them is going to be too far. I've decided to slip away quietly before dawn tomorrow, because I'm worried that if I tell anyone my plans, they might decide to bring the date of the wedding forward. I'll write more if I manage to sneak away. A fellow explorer. At last I seem to be having some good luck. I managed to sneak away unnoticed this morning, and I've made it all the way to the cliff face without being followed. Even better, I've made a brilliant discovery, although quite a grisly one. I'd been walking along the cliff bottom, desperately searching for a way up, when I spotted a man leaning against the rocks. I could see he'd been there for quite some time because even though his pith helmet and walking boots were still in place, his bones were bleached white by the sun. Gingerly, I crept up to the skeleton. The remains of a safari jacket were hanging in tatters from his bony shoulders, and the remains of a rotting leather water bottle hung across one shoulder. I didn't want to get too close, but I knew that I should check to see if he was carrying anything useful. Carefully, I felt through his pockets and discovered some brilliant stuff. A compass, a torch lined up, a very sharp hunting knife, a slab of Kendo mint cake, as carried to the summit of Mount Everest in 1953. Some diarrhea tablets. Who knows when they might come in handy. And best of all, still gripped in his bone-white fingers, was a map that showed the route out of the valley by way of a hidden pass. I was less than an hour's walk from a way out of the jungle at last. Home, here I come. This is the very map that I found. We meet again. But oh no, I'm not at home. I'm probably further away from home than ever, in a position even more precarious than the jungle valley. I am in chains, in the middle of an ocean. and my life is in the hands of, well, let me explain what has happened. As I walked along the path that would take me up the secret gully and out of the jungle valley, I began to sense that something was wrong. My guerrilla training had taught me to notice all the little signs of danger in the jungle, which was why my muscles tightened and the hair stood up on the back of my neck when I saw that the stems of the plants ahead had been snapped and the foliage underfoot crushed. I crept forward cautiously, hardly daring to breathe, as I looked through the leaves into the clearing at the base of the cliffs. I saw the last figure on earth that I wanted to meet, Thrak, the silverback. He looked older, but if anything he seemed even stronger than before, and meaner too. Okay, that's the end of part 9 of Charlie Small Gorilla City. If you want to see part 10, make sure to like and subscribe. Bye!